polished product. They don't see the 10 other careers, relationships, business ventures you've failed at before you got to where you're at today. And so that shit motivates me, to be like, yeah, I've definitely fucked up enough things that, I'm happy. I'm happy being where we're at today, but we also know how much further we can get. And on the other side, it's like, hey, people who call and ask me for advice and help, I'm tired of people calling me for advice and help in their business and in real estate. So we started producing this podcast, like, hey, man, if you want to hear about what it's really like, well, here's what we're actually doing. So we don't really, think up of all these guests that we want on the show. We do sometimes, but primarily it's a documentation of what's happening week to week in our business. Like, because there's a million fucking things we can talk about each week on the podcast, but what's happening right now? Like, what are we experiencing today that's fresh in our mind that can help us learn more about where we're going? Maybe somebody else can get some benefit out of it as well. And so people can actually see week to week what the fucking grind is. And that's it, man. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So there's no rules on the podcast. I mean, you talk about whatever you want to talk about. Say anything you want to say. Moments with Puz, brought to you by Get Your Ass to Work, something that everyone can enjoy. Now on to the show. All right, welcome back. This is episode number 28 of the Get Your Ass to Work podcast. Today we have Stan Durst. He is running a Facebook page called The Actionist, but I'm going to let him tell. Stan, who the fuck are you, man? Like, what are you doing here today?
What about that intro, huh?
Yeah, I mean, let's just get to it. We don't go on with ads and bullshit and everything else. We want to bring people value. We want to learn. Who are you, man? What are you doing here?
Well, my name is Stan Durst, and I run a group called the Actionist, which is a group that's ran on Facebook, a closed group that anybody can add themselves to. It's a free group, a group where we're trying to get you to take action every day, positive, forward action every single day, whether that's in your foundation, which is kind of yourself, what you're feeding yourself as far as food and energy and what you're feeding your brain as far as reading, things of that nature, all the way down to finance and family and fitness. So moving your body and your family obviously relates to your community relationships, your relationships with your immediate family and those in your business circle as well. So yeah. I teach people how to kind of put all those together and make positive changes moving forward.
Yeah, I like that because there's enough motivational memes out there. There's enough videos. But then there's actually taking action. There's actually doing the fucking work. And I think people have a really easy time watching a video on getting yourself pumped up and puffing out your chest and thinking about going out to start something new, taking a risk. But then people don't actually do it. They don't actually take the action and the steps necessary. And if they do it once, they quit. They do it twice, maybe they quit. They do it a week, they quit. I mean, how many fucking people out there start a diet and they last a week? Start a new exercise program, they last a week, and then they miss a day. And then the next week they miss 2 days of that exercise program, and then they just fucking throw their hands up in the air and quit. And they don't actually move forward with it. So I like the idea of this, of taking action, and we're talking about taking action every day.
I think part of our big problem as people who take action, they get motivated, they get the motivation, they smell it, that last 36 hours. They're like, fuck, it's hard. The shit is hard. Fucking, of course it's hard, man. Because if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. It's like when you tell your parents, hey, little Johnny, he says you can make $1 million by doing this. Dude, if it was that easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly.
Literally. It's hard. But I think if you track, I use this sheet that you can see in front of you called the action plan, which we're going to start to turn into books here soon, so you can just have a daily planner, but it has all these categories in it. But nothing in my life anymore is chance. I know exactly what the fuck is going on every single day. When people ask, how much money do you have in the bank? I mean, I could probably give you to the dollar what's in the checking account and when bills are due. Like, people use a lot of this to hide. Like, they don't want to accept what's really going on, the reality. They like to be on, a lot of my friends call fake book, where shit looks really, really good. And you're like, damn, dude, I thought you were balling. And then you get to their house and shit. They're like, oh, man, can you guys bring your own beer and shit and bring your own food? I know it was our party and we hosted it, but we need some help. Well, because it's not really happening. And then what about, oh, my God, do you see those guys? Look at the pictures. Oh, they're so cute together. And then they're divorced. Because it all looks good. And we can say whatever we want. But that's why you have to take action, because action trumps everything.
Yeah, and I like the side of it that you're talking about, which is documenting and keeping track of what you're doing. And one of the examples that I always use is when you ask somebody who's maybe having trouble losing weight, or they have a certain goal, and you ask them, okay, so how's your diet? And if you ask somebody who's really in tune, say somebody who's preparing for a competition, what is your diet like? They can tell you down to the fucking weight of how much chicken they're going to cook that breakfast or dinner, whatever. But when you ask a normal person who's just starting a diet, hey, how's your diet? Oh, pretty good. No fucking clue how many calories they're taking in. No fucking clue what they're eating. And what I find is that if you're not tracking your numbers and you don't know where you've been, it's really hard to get to where you're going. You don't even know where you're at, yet alone where you've been. How are you going to get to where you're going? So I like everything that you're saying so far. If you're anything, which big if, you're anything like me, you definitely probably didn't get your start by taking action and doing all this shit successfully out of your mother's womb. This probably was quite a journey on getting from where you started at to where you are at today. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? I mean, where'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? How did all of this get started?
Well, I think I probably took the gold medal actually out of my mother's womb in the fucked up Olympics. I mean, I mean, you could name it. Like, let's just start from the beginning. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. Parents got divorced when I was 2. She got remarried. He got remarried. Hated the stepmom. Stepdad was kind of okay. My stepdad and my mom got divorced when I was 14 when we were living actually in Reno, Nevada. I stayed with my stepdad, who was not my blood, when they got divorced. Very weird decision, questioned by a lot of people in my family. But before that, my dad and my stepmom were married. I would go to my dad's house, and my stepmom would feed us breakfast. Like, I'd watch what my dad and her ate. My dad would go to work, and then she would cook us pizzas and cottage cheese. But they weren't eating that. So just treated like shit, and then you start like, I'm not shit, But then I was always athletic and competitive, so I was always playing in the neighborhood. So I would take she would give me some shit, and I would soak it up over here, and then I would, take it over to this side. And so one time I was at their house, and an iron was left on, and I was looking out the window. It was the first time the garbage trucks, they grabbed the green thing with the forks and threw it in the back. They were brand new. It was like 81 or 82. It was fucking crazy, mind-blowing. As a 5-year-old, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. The iron fell on my arm and burned the shit out of me. It was still plugged in. She didn't turn it off. And so when I went to the hospital, she said, what did you do? So my fault. Again, 5 years old, it was my fault. She never took responsibility, like, fuck, I should have turned it off. What did you do? Just mad and crazy. So it was 2 different paradigms, but then if we're going back about another 10 years, like, they get married again and divorced again and married again and divorced again. So I grew up in like 6 different marriages. I was having sex at 13, so those things, running the streets. I mean, anything you could imagine, watch people get shot. I mean, just being a knucklehead. And then I was always going to make it. I was always going to make it in something. Like I always told people, because I was very good at talking, but not very good at doing. And so in 2013, which is only 6 years ago, and I'm 42 as we're recording this, so 36 years old it took me, 36 years old, I found a book by John Acuff called Start, Period. That's the name of the book. I started reading it, and it sounded like the guy was talking right at me. Are you sick of telling everybody you're going to be this guy, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're not? What are you doing? Do it. And it's so simple, like, do it. So I started having a little mantra, do the work, do the hard work. And so now, to this day, I just do stupid shit. Like I talked to you before we came on camera or before we came on the mic about, a push-up challenge. A couple weeks ago, I could do 70 push-ups. And then I was like, man, I could push myself. We could do more than that. So I asked my daughter what the record was and said, I'm going to do 113 in a week. I came up short at 107. But in another week, I'm going to do 113. I take 90-second cold showers at the end of my shower. So at the end of my shower, every time, I turn it to the coldest setting. I don't give a shit if it's negative 40 outside or if it's 100 degrees. Take a cold shower. Why? Because it sucks. It sucks so bad. You guys have no clue. People are like, why would you do something that sucks? That's stupid. 3 weeks ago, funniest story ever happened. 4232 Black Hills Drive. You can send mail there if you have checks, money, car keys, anything like that. You can send it to that address, 89436. The hot water doesn't work. And I'm like, oh shit, man, kids have to go to school. And I started kind of grinning, and I'm like, damn, someone's going to take a shower today. It's going to be me. Because I didn't care that the hot water was off, because now I could take a shower. And nobody else could take a shower because they're scared or, it's too cold. So I like doing hard shit. I think that's one of the messages I like to get across. You do one hard thing a day, one hard thing per day, you're going to win a lot more than you're going to lose.
Yeah, I really like that. And, one of the things I identify with that you've already said is growing up with a stepdad who's not even your own blood. I had the similar situation. I ended up staying with my stepdad instead of moving in with my mom, which was, I guess it wasn't all that odd when you're a kid, but looking back, you're like, yeah, that is a little strange. But the cold shower thing is something that I've routinely have done, but I do it at the beginning, which is as soon as I'm ready, I turn on that cold ass shower and jump in there. For what reason? None other reason than it fucking sucks. That's it. And I just get used to doing things that suck on a regular basis. And I don't know if it's me trying to be mentally tough or I read too many Navy SEAL books. I don't know what the fuck it is. All I know is that I want to be able to look at something that I'm afraid of or either don't want to do and not even question myself before I'm taking action to go ahead and do it. I don't want to be the guy who's sitting there thinking, oh, should I raise my hand and participate? I just want to start participating and then look back and think, oh man, what the fuck was I thinking? I'd rather take the action first and then suffer the consequences for whatever I've done later to get myself in the mindset of getting out of my own way. And that's sort of a mindset that I've developed over the last few years. Tell me about being 36 and then finally getting into some of the things that are working for you now.
Well, it's odd, man, because everything you've heard as a kid, even if your parents weren't great parents, and I would contend if you have baby boomer parents, your parents were terrible. I don't give a shit what you tell me. You might be a unicorn and they might have been good people, but the odds are that people will give their parents a pass and they're going to say, well, they did the best they can with what they had. You hear that so many times and it drives me crazy to hear that. If I told you that in 20 years and my kids are 19, 17, 10, and 19, 17, 12, and 8 right now. And in 20 years, they're going to be 20 years older. And I told you, dude, I just did the best I could. Well, I teach my kids the best you could isn't good enough. And people are like, wow, that's fucking crazy. Because you're armed with more than the best you could. People said, that's the best I could do. Well, the best you could do was actually do a little bit more. Like when I get up in the morning, I set aside 1 hour a day to learn something I don't know about. And if that's something in marketing, let's say it's a Facebook ad, for example, and it looks like I'm looking at better targeting, I might spend 30 days for 1 hour a morning being the best I can be at that skill. So if my client said, hey, you're running Facebook ads for us, I noticed that this, and this. I go, well, I don't want to have that conversation. I want to get ahead of that conversation. So I think we could do better. If your parents didn't teach you about money, sex, emotions, discipline, if they didn't teach you any of those things, they didn't teach you a lot. I mean, they might have put a roof over your head, and that's nice, and I think that's really commendable. You should say, thank you, man. You put a roof over my head, clothes on my back, things of that nature. But when you're not really teaching them about life, that's a killer to me. Like, you look at it and you go, just teach me. You've been there. A pair of lips can say anything. That's why I always think action is really important. Do it. Like my kids, when we were teaching them to do the dishes, I didn't tell them. I showed them. And guess what? They learned how to do it.
Yeah. And doing that one hard thing a day. I mean, give me some other examples of things that you would consider that one hard thing a day that most people would look at and say, fuck that, I'm not doing it. Or they just avoid it. They put it off, they procrastinate, and then next thing you know, a year goes by and they're like, fuck, I wish I would have started that one hard thing a day a year ago because I'd be so much further. I mean, I do that a million times, and there's still a million things that I do that I still put off to this day. that I know I should be doing, that I'm not, and I think back and I'm like, fuck, I wish I had started that a year ago. I mean, what are some of those things that you do?
I think for me today, right this very moment, as we're speaking here right now, is probably the fitness thing. So I do a thing with my son that I shouldn't have started because I wanted to get him on a fitness journey. He's only 12 years old, but I didn't want him really lifting weights at this particular moment, but doing like push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups and stuff like that. So every morning, if I already worked out typically too, I have to go with my son to his pull-up bar, and I have to do 10 sets of pull-ups, which I have to do obviously more than my 12-year-old son, but I try to do 7 to 10, and then I do 21 this week. Next week I'll do 22 push-ups. But I do them in a row. We just rotate. So he goes to the pull-up bar, he goes to the ground. I go to the pull-up bar, I go to the ground. It's 10 sets. It takes 15 minutes, and I hate every fucking push of it. I hate it. I got to the point now where I hate it. I hate it. And I read Brian Tracy's book again last week because I'm just like, I got to do it, man. Eat That Frog, which is like, if you do one hard thing a day, like doing that positions me for the rest of my day, though. Then I go into my meditation. Then I go into my reading. Then I go into my writing. Then I learn. I guess it really pisses me off because I was speaking to a group in Phoenix, Arizona about my whole thing. I was getting kind of quasi-famous for about a year about morning routine. I had the sickest morning routine, and I started plugging it to people. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You either say you get this is amazing or can't do it. So what's the one hard thing? Get your ass up early.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that before we actually turned the podcast on, about what happened when you started waking up at 4 a.m. And what you mentioned was the financial aspect of it. What happened in your life or business? What did you gain by having that discipline to wake up at 4 a.m.? Because that is something that I have been doing now for several years, which is, I mean, when I first started trying to wake up early, I would rather have died in a gasoline fire than had gotten up out of bed before the sun was up. I had zero desire to ever be up at the butt crack of dawn before the sun's come over the mountains, and then slowly but surely, and it took a lot of fucking patience and trying and failing and not missing alarms, hitting the snooze button. But at a certain point, I did catch on to it, and my life changed. What changed for you?
A lot. My finances changed like crazy. They pretty much tripled. My marriage changed. My relationship with my kids changed. But I have a philosophy on waking up early. It's very easy. So you sit up and you put your feet on the floor, right? Your butt's still on the bed, your feet on the floor. So if you put your feet on the floor, you're out the door. So feet on the floor, out the door. Little saying I came up with, it rhymes, it's easy. Meaning your feet touch the floor, get your ass up, get to the gym, get your morning stuff done. And what I don't really like is because everybody uses excuses, is someone's going to inherently say, I work swing shift. Like, fucking good for you, man. Like, then your morning routine's at 1 p.m. Like, it doesn't matter, man. Stop bullshitting yourself and having all these excuses. I work the night shift. How am I going to have a morning routine? Well, your morning routine is a night routine. Then, I mean, it just switches, and we all know this. Like, we're all self-aware. And so to answer your question directly, I mean, my marriage has changed so drastically, man. Like, it's
better, right?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, right.
Because, I mean, that's another story we could tell for another day, but we were probably going to be divorced 10 years ago easily. And I used to come home, get on my computer, ignore everybody, not kiss anybody, step on a Lego, literally cuss in my own house, which I've cussed a couple times on here, but I don't cuss in my house. I hit my foot on a Lego. What the fuck? Whose Lego is this? This is bullshit. And now when I come home, man, I find my wife and my kids, I give them a hug and a kiss, I ask them how their day was, and if there's a Lego on the floor, I ask them to pick it up, please. Those things have changed, but that's changed everything, man. Because when you start changing these things in your house, everybody around you will change. You will never change anybody ever in your damn life. People are like, hey, man, I appreciate the message. I changed. I didn't change them. They finally were fed up with their bullshit, man, and they changed themselves. It might have been something I said that tweaked it, but I've never changed a soul, and I would never claim to, because I know how hard it is to change yourself. You're not going to change somebody else. Your marriage is suffering. Please don't try to work on her, dude. If you're not having sex with your wife, it's not her fault. It's because you haven't fucking talked to her about it. She's not a mind reader. Okay? Your sex problems are your and your wife's problems, but you're just looking at it through your head, thinking about what she's thinking, but you've never asked. I think we're not really having sex. Is there an issue? Should we talk about it? Yeah, you probably should. You know, you
Yeah.
probably should.
Yeah, if you think you should talk about it, chances are you're fucking way behind. You should have been talking about it a long time ago. So I went through that phase. I had to read The Miracle Morning. I had, there were so many things that I had to do to try to get my ass out of bed early, and I failed so many times, but one thing I didn't do was quit trying to get up early. I'd not make it one morning, get back on track. All right, the next day, try it again, get up early, because the benefits were exactly as you've already described. My finances took off. My health took off, because what would I do otherwise is I'd wake up 30 minutes past my alarm, rush out to go get a quick breakfast, some fast food, some bullshit, wouldn't work out until 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'd be tired. Half the time I'd miss that workout anyway. And then by the time you get home, you're so beat down, you don't have time or energy for anybody else. So the alternative was fuck, man, I have to start waking up early? Like, I don't want to wake up early. But that was the solution. But everything else fell into place as soon as I started getting up. And the one recommendation that I listened to, I don't remember where it came from, was most CEOs will wake up 3 hours before they have to go into work. And what do they do in those 3 hours? Well, they wake up, exercise, meditate, learn something, right? Get some breakfast, something good, and then take care of any odds and ends before they actually head into the office. So before they get there, they've already got their mindset right. They've learned something. They're energized because they exercise. They ate properly. And now they're ready to go take on their day and deal with all the bullshit, which we know most people have to do. But they're doing it from the mindset of, I'm ready to fucking go because I've already accomplished all this shit, while most people are snuggling their fucking pillow, not able to get out of bed.
Complaining. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're complaining, right? And it's the people who don't do shit that complain the most. That's hilarious to me. Hear that again. The people who complain the most talk the most shit. Like about everything. They're not willing to do this. They're not willing to do that. Oh, 4 o'clock's too early. I can't do that. How the fuck could you do that? Oh, the gym. Yeah, the gym's not really for me. Plus, I have a hyperthyroid. It's like, okay, dude, I know you're hyperthyroid. Okay, you're a thyroid. I manage MMA fighters for 17 years. You don't have a fucking thyroid problem. You have a fucking excuse problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watch people kill themselves to be in the gym. You get so, and I was it, guys. So listen, when you're hearing this out there, listen. I'm definitely not better than you, and nobody in this room right now is better than you. But you really have to come to grips with, like, stop the bullshit, man. Like, everybody's self-aware. It's my biggest trait. I always tell people this. Like, I love to brag about being self-aware. It also keeps me sharp. I don't get a fuck up a lot. When you're self-aware and you brag about it, you got to be self-aware. But when you get home and you take off your shirt, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, only you can fix it. But you can fix it. Like, legit, fuck, no talent required. Wake up, go to the fucking gym, watch what you're fucking eating, and it works. It's weird,
It's
though.
magic, right?
It is straight magic. But all of these areas that we speak about, man, like your family, financial, fitness, all these areas, give it a little bit of thought a day. It's simple, man. Like, it's not rocket science, but people are not willing to get up earlier, and then you're going to get hit with a lot of resistance, which is like, yeah, good for you, man. Way to go, man. Good for you. People are happy for you. They're proud for you. Fucking patronizing you. And I think, honestly, like, I'm not going to get crazy emotional or anything right now, but, like, it does hurt your feelings sometimes when people are patronizing you when you're trying to help other people. And they ain't about shit. The people that are attacking you, just hating you, they're not about shit anyway. I run a group called the Actionist, which you can find on Facebook by Google or Facebook searching the Actionist, for free. There's no hidden agenda. I will tell you down the road, we are going to have a thing called the Actionist Academy where I'm going to charge you to be a part of it because I'm going to give you real life examples and tools to operate your life at a better level. And on top of that, probably do it for like $47 a month. So if you don't have $1.20 to get better in your life, you don't really want to get better, man. Like it's that simple. But I think when you have accountability, that's why people go to the gym in twos. You know that, right? Like, I go to the gym who do you go to the gym with?
My partner, Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go to the gym by myself. I used to have a partner my whole life until like 6 years ago. Because what if Sage doesn't show up today?
It doesn't matter.
Just hold on. Just be honest. This is what I want you to be really honest. We're going to go to the gym tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. If Sage doesn't show up, tell me about your workout tomorrow.
My workout is the same no matter what. Whether he's there or not, doesn't fucking matter. And half the time he shows up a few minutes late and I'm already
going at it.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
So what do you think the average person does when their workout partner doesn't show up?
Sleeps in their car at 5 a.m., doesn't go, makes an excuse, goes to Starbucks.
Yeah, or my favorite one is like, hey man, I caught a text from my dude 12 minutes ago. He's not coming, so fuck it, I'm just going to shut it down.
Yeah.
You're going to shut it down? Of course you fucking are. So what happens when your wife comes home and she says, I'm not happy? Are you going to shut that down too? Or are you going to fucking talk through it? Are you going to man the fuck up, take the action you know is necessary and get it done? And we just don't, man. And we were talking about the parenting thing earlier. I like to instill these things into my kids because it's the same people who talk shit about me. Hey man, you're giving this advice to all these people. It's those people who are raising their kids with the exact opposite messaging that I'm giving you today. So we're not fixing shit. It's important when you meet my kids. If you met my oldest two kids, and if my younger kids hear this, I love you guys a lot. But my older two kids have their shit together, man. 19 and 17 years old. One's a college gymnast. One's a senior in high school. Already has like a business plan together. Is going to go to NASCAR or something or other for 2 years, and a BMW thing for 2 years, and then he wants to start a performance shop. Like, I promise you, he will, because he's addicted to it. It's in his blood. You talk about doing what you love to do, what you want to do. It's really important, man. Like I tell my kids all the time, do what makes you happy and smile. That's it. I don't give a shit how much money you make, happy and smile. Because you can make, this too, you can make as much money as you want once you become the thought leader. If you're the best real estate agent in Reno or you know the most shit, you can position yourself above the other agents because you say, well, listen, we actually have this, and this, and these guys don't. This is all I do. I breathe it. I think it's a big difference when you're in it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we say here is how you show up anywhere is how you show up everywhere. And if you're that person who's going to the gym, your partner doesn't show up, and you're like, fuck it, I'll just skip this workout anyway. Oh, I'm glad my partner didn't show up because now I don't have to do it. I don't have to be accountable. How many other areas of your life are you doing that? And you're probably doing it all over the fucking place. You're probably leaving a shit stain everywhere you go on your finances, your marriage, your relationships, your kids. That's probably happening in more places than you even realize. And so my thought process is if you're going to do something, be there, do it, be present and get after it. So, now, I like what you were saying, about your kids. Hey, whatever you're doing, love it, be happy and smile. But we're also talking earlier about, jumping in that cold shower, doing shit that you hate, doing a lot of things that you probably don't necessarily want to do. And why were we talking about it? What is the purpose of turning on a cold shower and jumping in when you could just wait 30 seconds for that shower to warm up or a minute? What is the purpose of doing that workout? And we talked about the book Eat That Frog. What is the purpose of doing the shit that you absolutely don't want to do, that you hate doing, but you do it anyway?
Because when you have it done, it's fucking done. I think that's the first thing, because your dopamine in your brain goes off. It goes, holy shit, man. You just did that. That's crazy. And you look, and we kind of step out of our body sometimes and look into ourselves and go, that's pretty cool. We don't do that a lot because we're kind of a self-loathing culture as it is already. But I think once you get that done, dopamine in your brain goes off and goes, got it done. One of the reasons I work out first thing in the morning, it's done. You know what I'm saying? It is done. Guys, life is like the weather. Life and the weather have amazing parallels. Right? It's going to rain for 3 days in a row. Most people don't like the rain. It sucks. Your mom died on Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Thursday. It's painful, man. It all sucks. Everything. There's a lot of things in life that aren't easy to deal with. But the more that you can deal with things, just remember everything's temporary. Your success is temporary. Your failures can be temporary. The weather and life are very similar. Remember last week? It was going to be the biggest snowstorm we've seen since 2005. It didn't happen, but we got prepared for it. We got more prepared for that fucking snowstorm that didn't show up than we did for our fucking Monday. Did you know if I wrote down my Monday, I tell people this all the time, they still don't do it. Plan, act, execute. Make a plan, act on the plan, execute the fucking plan. See, it's one thing to act and one thing to finish it. like, oh, I'm going to start reading today. So you read one page, you're like, oh, I did it. I'd probably start with like 15 minutes of reading. But plan, act, execute. Plan it out. If you have never planned out your week, please try to plan out your week. A lot of people have messaged me and said, listen, what happens when? What if? Fucking stop living on what if and what happens if. Like, this is shit, dude. Like, if you really thought that, you're just using more excuses because you really believed and thought that, then you wouldn't even get up a day. What if I drive and I get killed? What if, like, we could keep doing that to the nth degree and to the nanosecond. So, get out there. I just got to do it, man.
Yeah, then you're just not ever going to get shit done, period, at all. So tell me about the group that you do on Facebook. I mean, what was the purpose of it? How did you get it started? And what does the membership look like? What is the direction? What's your vision for this Facebook group? And really importantly, like, what's your philosophy behind it? What are you trying to accomplish here?
So, the group is really meant for everyone to learn how to take action. A lot of people know how to take action, we just don't. So I'm trying to put the tools and things in front of you that you do. Every day is kind of important too. I announce gratitude somewhere between 4 and 6 in the morning, the 3 things I'm happy for the day. I think today might have been like clothes, hot water, and feet. Because I travel a lot. And when you meet people like an Iraqi soldier that I met, who's actually from Iraq, now he's an American citizen, who's my Uber driver.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't want to sound like a dick and hopefully I don't overstep my boundaries. And he did it with more of an accent than that. And he says, you guys are soft, man. I don't want people to think that we're soft. So if I can help all of us take more action and move it forward, the real goal of the Actionist when I first started it was, I'm going to start this group and it's going to grow into a group. We're going to build these foundations like foundation, family, fitness, and finances. And then we're going to have people that lead these levels of each of these foundations, and then we're going to move it out to real world. That's what I'd like to do, is move this like boots on the street, helping kids in school, just teaching people there's not a right way to do things. We've all been through, weird and different shit, and everybody's been through things. But I know there's 5 or 6 things that anyone in the world can do, and they'll see some sort of positive result. Getting up early is one of them. Eating correctly is another one of those. Getting up early isn't everything, and one of the reasons I wanted to be really transparent about this, I started waking up at 5 in the morning instead of 4 in the morning because I started reading a lot of things about dementia and Alzheimer's, and the number one contributor to that is lack of sleep and sleep deprivation. And a lot of people don't talk about that, and I wish we would talk about that, man, because people follow these gurus and I don't care how big I ever get, I will never think of myself as a guru. I'm just a regular dude who just decided to put some stuff into practice, and it actually works. It's all cliche. That's why people don't do it. You know that, right? They go, oh yeah, I know that. 2 in the hand, or a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I'm basically saying if I have 1 water in my hand here, and there's 2 waters across the street, I already have this one. This is guaranteed. It's a cliche because it's true. all these sayings and these cliches all these people use, it's because they're true. You just have to put them into action without thinking. I think a lot of people do this, though, without having this weird thing in your brain happen where you're not allowed to be good at something or better at something. I don't know why we do it. It's like self-sabotage. Do you think if you're married and you have 3 kids, going to Bullies from 6 to 8 every night is a good thing to do?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but someone does. A lot of people do.
A lot of people do.
Why? Why do they
That
think
bar is going to be packed from 6 to 8.
every day? Like, why? Why is it not okay to be like, yo, dude, you're a good cat. Even though I just spent fucking 10 hours with you at work, I'm going to go see my family and my wife, who's probably getting close to divorcing my ass because I do this every damn day. And then we're going to come home and blame her.
Yeah. I love what you said about the Uber driver from Iraq. I mean, I couldn't even agree more on the fact that we are soft. I mean, as a culture, as Americans, not everyone. I'm not putting everyone in this fucking category. Right. But our society is getting soft. I mean, and that's just my opinion. I hear a lot of people say it, and it's starting to catch on a little bit more. I'm starting to see some of the resistance and pushback from, interesting podcasts popping up like Order of Man, and people, getting more into things like the Actionist, and people talking about taking action and just quit being a bitch. That's the Grant Cardone. Get out there and start taking actions. Go out there and capture shit, Get out there and chase your dreams down. Do not be apologetic for being better than someone else. And it seems like we've been breeding this culture for I don't know how many years now, probably at least really strongly the last 10 to 15 years from my viewpoint. Could have been going on for decades, I'm not sure. That don't be better than other people. Everybody gets a fucking trophy. Everyone's a winner. Even if you haven't done shit. And if you haven't done shit, you still give advice. And you can make excuses for why you haven't done anything. Oh, my thyroid problem. Oh, I have, this issue. I have that. And then you meet this guy from Iraq, and he's like, hey, man, you guys are soft. It's like, fuck yeah, we are. I mean, we really, really have softened up. I mean, this is not the fucking culture. This is not the society that won World War II. I mean, not even fucking close. The mindset's completely different. So
I hope there's a guy out there, Nate Dove, that's listening to this or gets in front of this podcast. Nate is a paraplegic. Used to like be in the streets in Buffalo dealing drugs and shit, and he got shot and became paraplegic. Now he has this thing hashtag Nate will walk. And Nate doesn't have legs, man. And this dude's at the gym every day. So I always think about Nate, like. I think about anything in my life like that. Like, what's your excuse, dude? Like, I'm able-bodied, man. So I tell people the other day, if you're a man, and this isn't about a man and woman thing, but if you're a man and you're able-bodied and you can't do 25 push-ups without stopping or dying, you're an asshole. Straight up. Write it down. Get mad at me. I don't care. 25 push-ups, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a better question, asshole guy. You go to Walmart, because that's the place we shop when we're assholes. We have our whole family with us. And some dude goes to the aisle and he looks at you crazy. And you're that guy because you go to Bullies and shit, like, what's up? And you try to check him. What are you going to do, man? You can't do 25 push-ups. Now you're going to get your ass whipped in front of your family? You know what I mean? Like, I don't work out so I'm be a tough guy. I work out because if I have to protect my family one day, and I don't even have the cardio to make it through getting my ass kicked in front of my family, I'm going to have no cardio, seeing black dots, and get my ass kicked in this freaking parking lot of Walmart. I don't think so, kid.
And then make an excuse for why it happened. Oh, he sucker punched me.
My thyroid! My thyroid! Yeah, it's you fucking lazy ass. That's what happened. Your lazy ass caught up with you, man. It really did catch up with you. And I think when people hear us talk today, and they hear like Grant Cardone, all these people, there's a lot of gurus out there, man.
Right.
It always comes back to money. And I think it's important to talk about this real quick. I always put money on a pedestal. Let me get closer to the mic. And I never had any. I always put money on a pedestal and I never had any. This will probably be the best lesson coming out of my mouth this whole podcast. I never had money because I put it on a pedestal. The pedestal is where the money sits. It's the end result. I never had money, big guy, because I never did what it took to get the fucking money. Those are called tactics. So there's tactics and goals. Goal is I want to lose 15 pounds. The tactic to get the goal is 1 gallon of water a day. Tactic 2 is 5 days a week at the gym. And tactic 3 is clean 2,000 calories a day. You're going to do those 3 things. You're going to do it for 30 days. I promise you, hand to God, unless you have some disease I don't know about, you're going to be in better shape and lose weight. Guaranteed. So couldn't you just apply that to every single thing you do in your life and be a fucking winner every fucking time? 1,000%.
Could you?
Sure. Will you?
Will you? Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Will you?
Will you do what is necessary? Will you clean that diet up and down 2,000 calories of clean food? Will you get up and go to that gym 5 days a week?
You want to know who won't do that? Everyone has a friend out there, and get your laugh muscle ready. Who's going to text you before tonight and say, hey, want to go to dinner? And you're like, fuck, I'm cool. Yeah, of course, I'll go to dinner. Sure, you text back. And they text back, great, where do you want to go? And you're like, I don't fucking know. You're the one that invited me to dinner. You're like, okay, we're going to go to XYZ. Cool, see you there. They text you back 5 minutes later and they go, hey, man, can you send me the address? That's the fucking guy. And that's the fucking girl who acts like this. The person who has the same access to the same information you do, but won't do it.
Want you to do it for
It's
them.
the person at your job. This is my favorite. We're in real estate, so let's go like this. You're in real estate. Real estate agent sends an email and says, hey, the client is probably willing to do this. Can you send an email back to the client? When they could have just put you on the email and CC'd you and eliminated a step out of the process, but they don't want to. Because that's how fucking lazy they are. They actually cost themselves more time. They don't know it yet, but they're going to know it in a couple more emails that they cost themselves more time and could have got done with the transaction, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Man, you can or you can't. You do or you don't. You will or you won't. Simple. Those three things, like if you look at those three things, like can or can't, do or don't, will or won't. It's that simple. People always talk about why you wake up, why. I have a bracelet on my wrist that says why, remember why you started. It's important, man. It's important that I know when I wake up, first thing I do is write down the three things I'm grateful for. Next thing I do is I take 2 minutes and figure out how I can make my wife's day better. And then we move on with our day, meditation, all this stuff. But trying to start serving people, we haven't talked about that at all, but I think that's where I was really bad. I always, and you might know some people that would tell you this, I've always been a pretty helpful person. Helped a lot of people, but I always wanted something. I didn't tell you I wanted something, but I did. And I don't even know what I really wanted, but I was just helping you because I know down the road I could be like, oh, remember when I did that thing? Hey, remember when I helped you with and I don't give a shit, man. I'm going to help you, and if you don't help me, I don't give a fuck. I don't care, man. Like, I just want to be known as the guy that's like, he's going to do this. It doesn't matter if you're the janitor or a CEO of a company. He's going to treat you the same as he's going to treat anybody else. And that's something I've changed a lot, is just treating people with respect and not judging people as most. I still judge people. So if you hear me out there and you look crazy and you have 37 piercings in your face and you're wearing your pants down to your ankles, it's not that we're not going to be friends. I will judge you outside. It's just being honest. A lot of people won't be honest about that, but I'm being honest. But after I have a conversation with you, the likelihood is I probably won't judge you just based on your appearance, but those things do happen.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't going to come out and say it that they are going to judge you, but they are. And people are going to do it. They just don't want to say, yeah, I'm judging you. And, I think the same things that you're thinking about with people that you come into contact with, you're going to judge them immediately. I mean, it's almost just human nature. I mean, you're going to have an initial thought, and it's a survival, tactic or technique, or, it's just something we're born with, this innate ability to look at a situation and immediately you're going to have a thought about it, and maybe right, maybe wrong, but it's going to happen. What happens after that is all up to you and how you perceive the situation, and also the other person that you come into contact with. But there was this avenue that I wanted to get your thoughts on specifically, and this is actually for me. We were talking about David Goggins. For those of you who don't know, this crazy fucking Navy SEAL guy, workout fucking guru. If you haven't checked him out, look him up on Facebook. Goggins, Goggins. Really motivational character. Ordinary people. Okay, I would think that people like you and I are somewhat attracted to people like David Goggins in the way of just hardcore, do shit you hate. It doesn't matter how much it sucks. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. Do what you need to do in order to achieve the goal that you need to achieve. And I talk to myself like that often. And when I talk to myself, it is very often, hey, quit being a pussy. Okay? Wake up. Don't make an excuse. Oh, you don't like that? Well, now you're doing it twice. Those are the ways that I talk to myself. But that doesn't work for a lot of people. In fact, it very easily will turn people off. And so if say you're running, the Facebook page like you are, and I'm asking your opinion. There's no right or wrong answer here. I find that when I get that mentality and the way that I talk to myself is often how I'm going to talk to other people. It doesn't fucking work. When, I need, Cindy Lou Joe or, sensitive Bill to get something done, and I talk to them the way I talk to myself, it comes out fucked up. And, right instantly I'm judged as being an asshole. I'm too hard. I'm this, I'm that. What are some of the tactics and techniques that you guys or you think that you would use, especially with kids? You can't talk to kids like David Goggins talks to you on a podcast. What are some of these things that you're doing to soften the get the fuck to work type of attitude?
I think it starts with small things, putting small things in front of people and letting them just get bite-sized chunks and get that little dopamine feeling. And EQ is huge, man. Like it's a big kind of a, I don't know, corporate America and some other places, it's a kind of a big buzz acronym, if you will, but emotional intelligence, man, like you got to know, you got to have the life experience. That's why I laugh sometimes at some of these millennials who I actually think are doing really good things in the world. A lot of people think they're lazy, but what they do lack is experience. It's hard to know how to talk to somebody when you never talk to somebody. You've been texting them your whole life, using acronyms and shit that no one understands, and BAE and LOL and all this other shit that no one gets. You have to be able to communicate that to each individual person. Like I have guys in my group that are military vets. I have people in my group that are women that are over 70. I have black folks in my group. I have Hispanics in my group. It's like you have to know how to talk to different people a little bit differently. So I'm never really forceful. I do get elevated sometimes because when I see things that make a lot of sense to me, I try to remember like, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to everyone. My oldest son, 12 years old, he plays all the sports, but during this time of year, he plays baseball and basketball together because he plays travel baseball. He doesn't play all year round. He just plays for about 4 months. And he said something in my baseball practice last year. I was coaching Little League baseball. He's like, I don't get why he doesn't get it. I'm like, because he doesn't play travel ball. Because baseball's not that important to him. He's out here because his parents would like him to be out here, and he kind of does want to play baseball. So what I need you to do now is be a leader. How can you ask him how to get better? How can you ask him how you can help him? You know, those types of things. So into your messaging is like, what can I do to help you first? Oh, you know, it'd be really nice if you taught me how to blah, blah, blah. Or, for example, I chewed for a very long time. Breaking that habit is really, really hard. I'm going to be like, stop being a pussy, fucking break the habit, you little bitch. Well, fuck, man, like I did it. Like, is that what I would need for someone to tell me that so that I would quit? I'm a little bit different than a lot of people, though. I feel like my self-awareness and my self-talk is kind of more like yours. Like I was supposed to do, like, on this last set yesterday, 51 push-ups. I did 58. Just fuck it. I probably could have done 64. That's the bummer, though. You know, that's the real bummer is that I'm pushing myself to get here, but most people aren't even pushing themselves to get to my minimum. And my minimum to me is not that great, you know, and probably you feel the same way. It's like when you're performing low and you see people not performing up to those standards, you figure like, what is everybody doing? But remember, my wife says this sometimes. Hopefully she doesn't kill me. Everybody has something to do. And I go, what the fuck does that mean? Like we'll be at McDonald's. I'm like, man, that person behind the counter right there, she's 20 years old. She is sharp. Like she could be doing anything. Why do you think people who work at McDonald's, honest to God, unless they're 77 and from Canada and moved to Arizona, really want to be there? Because if they do, I would love for them to call in to this show or send an email somewhere so that we understand that, yes, they do want to work at the McDonald's. Because it's a lie. Dude, I've worked in corporate America at some jobs where I've made a couple $100,000 a year guaranteed. So? So what? Good money. People will look at you and go, you quit that job, you're a liar. Bullshit. They tell you that because they make $16 an hour. They couldn't fathom making $200,000 a year. It's impossible to them. How could anybody make that kind of money? Secondarily, how could anybody leave that? How? How could you do it? Because money's not everything, man. But that's why I say all the gurus, it always comes back to money. Do this and you'll get this. Do this and you'll get this. Yeah, you can do all these things that we're talking about and you will be successful. But I would implore you, when you're never doing any of these things, take it very slow. Because a lot of people jump in headfirst into personal development and motivation. Guys, I didn't read one book before 2016. Not one. I read over 150 since. It was a big mistake. I think you should try to be on a path of like a book a month. I think that's a very good path because you can't digest what you're reading. So why move on to the next book if you haven't even put the goals and things in front of you to be successful in the last book you read? Ego is the Enemy is by far the best book I've ever read in my entire life. Hands down. If you're a man, you have to get it. If you're a woman, you 80% have to get it. I just don't think that women have the same egos that men do. But I think that if you have not read that book and you're a man, get it. Ego is the Enemy. It's not about driving a Lamborghini and jumping out of it with your sunglasses on, flexing on people, talking about, look at me. Ego is this. I meet you, you're a real estate agent, right? Okay. I'm a real estate agent too. So I look at you, I size you up. I don't say one word. This motherfucker's a real estate agent. Shit, yeah, right. I invented real estate, man. This guy ain't shit. And he starts going into some marketing strategy you never heard of. Yeah, sounds like another scam, man. Fuck this guy. And he's like, dude, I'm making 1.1 million a month now. And last year at this time I was making $100,000. The firm is making that much. And you're like, dang. And so he starts talking to you about some of the strategy he's doing, and you're like, oh shit, this guy. Guess what? He knows more than you fucking do, man. And your feelings got hurt initially, and you're like, fuck. And so you're still kind of mad at the guy. That's ego. That's real man ego. Like, how could this guy know more than me? I fucking bleed this shit. Every day, there's no way he knows more than me. That's the ego I had for 36 years. It's a motherfucker to be in. Because you think you already know it all. So there's no, what can this motherfucker teach me? Nothing. I know everything. Man, you don't know shit. The day you tell yourself you don't know shit, you will learn. Oh, you will learn. And I've learned so much in 6 years, man. I've had so many different jobs, man. From being a waiter to working in telecom to having over 20 businesses to, just I've done a bazillion different things. And I think to keep it all together and to wrap it into a bow and package it up, it's like you have to have, we talked about it earlier with the millennials, you have to have that experience, I think, to understand things and to actually go through it. But I don't think all your experiences have to be negative. Like my friends will say, I brag about my oldest two not like being sexually active and into drinking and shit like that. Like if they were, I would just talk them through it, but they're not. And so right now it's not a thing. But like you don't have to have sex at 17. Like people know that, right? It's not cool. On top of it, I hope people know that also. It's
right.
Not just because your friends at school are doing those things. That shit ain't cool. I know when I was in high school, it was cool. I was the man. I was a funny guy. But it didn't get me anywhere. As a matter of fact, I actually think it took 20 years off my life. Literally 20. And it's sad, man, to think back. Damn, dude, you really cost yourself. Now, am I thankful to go through some of those things? Yeah. All of them? No. I'm not going to sit here and telling you earlier. I'm not going to sit here and regret things. But there's some things I would have done differently. 1,000%. People go, I have no regrets, man. I want to go through every damn thing I had to go through. But that's not actually true. I mean, you don't have to go through all of it.
Yeah. There's the part that you were talking about, and you said that, if you think you know everything, as soon as you realize you don't know shit, you just start learning. And then the next step is that you realize there's always room to get better. And I think that a lot of people who are going out there to be successful and achieve will always look for that extra edge that, could I have done 8 more push-ups? And then you're like, fuck yes, I could have. I only got 50. I could have done 64. And you're always pushing yourself to get to that next level. But going back to the website, on Facebook, the private group, you've got all these different people from all different backgrounds that are on there, different races, different religions, military, non-military. And what you said is you start talking to people and you figure out that all their problems are the same. Like everybody has the same fucking problems. It doesn't even matter what part of the world you come from. You find out that people are pretty much the same. We all share the same fucking problems. I mean, what are some of these problems that people are struggling with that would go to a website or, go to the Facebook page like yours looking for answers?
That's an excellent question, man. The problems range from, I feel like I'm going to get divorced. I feel like my wife doesn't love me. I feel like my partner doesn't like me. My weight's an issue. I'm a, yo-yo dieter. I can't seem to save money. I've never read a book. I don't understand what reading does. I've never meditated. Actually, you know what? I did meditate one time. I tried it, and I just didn't like it. I mean, it's for people like that. I hated meditating for the first 30 days I did it. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand why it wasn't working. But in fact, it was working. But when you first start meditating, it's an unusual practice, and when you're not used to it, especially a lot of people, and this one's probably even more geared towards women, I think. Like, I think when you can get away from the day for 10 minutes to make your day go easier. Like, I'm a meditator in visualization. So I meditate for 10 and go into visualization for 2. And when a visualization is actually closing my eyes and thinking how my day is going to go based on my schedule, and I just close my eyes, I think of the I think of the schedule. So you could literally at your house right now or wherever you are riding around in your car. Hopefully you don't close your eyes while you're riding around, but maybe you're parked somewhere. Close your eyes and think about how you want your day to go. Crazy thing's going to happen. It sounds hokey. Your day's going to go 90% exactly how you imagine it. Literally. It's amazing. So if you've never done things like that, or that seems foreign to you, we're probably the place for you to be, because there's 20-something meditation apps. There's YouTube. There's so many things that you can learn, so many different places. And I'm trying to take a lot of the guesswork out of it for you, bring you some of these tools. Even the sheets, like the action plans that I have. The action plan is a lifesaver, man. It could save your life. I don't give a shit if you use my action plan or you use a piece of paper and start writing stuff down. But when you can start writing stuff down and checking it off, again, dopamine in your brain, man. Anytime we can signal that dopamine to go off, we're feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah, you mentioned this other part of that earlier about the group itself. Now, watching videos on YouTube, reading books, that's all fucking great. But the actual conversations and having that page where you post to and you're reading other people's posts brings a different level of a word called accountability to the entire equation. And when you post something out to the entire world of something that you are planning to or you are setting out to achieve, it brings a little bit more importance to it. You've now have announced it to the world. At a certain point, hopefully, if you're not on track, people are going to call you out, and you're going to take that as a positive instead of getting into defensive mode and going back into victim mentality of my thyroid, I can't fucking get this done, whatever. But people who post openly to the world, people who put their goals on the wall in front of their computer at work, or whatever it is you're looking to achieve, plays in exactly to what you're talking about in visualization, where you're visualizing something happening and it fucking comes true. It just, for some fucking reason, is same with you buy a fucking red BMW, next thing you know, it's in your mind, you fucking see it everywhere, and you're like, damn it, I've got the same car everybody else has. Well, it was always there. You just didn't fucking notice it until it's on your mind. And your goals seem to happen the same way.
Well, let me give you a real life example of visualization. This was crazy. So this is like a couple years ago. I've got this job. It's going pretty well. I think they were paying me like $92,500, and there was comp behind it. So there was an opportunity to make a couple $100,000 a year or whatever. I got recruited. Kind of. I got a phone call, and the guy said, does he have any interest in the job? So I took that phone call that lasted like 15 minutes, and I sat down. It's like 9 a.m., and I said, I'm going to call my boss. I'm going to ask for more money. Closed my eyes. I figured out how much do I want to ask him for. I said $115. These people are going to offer me a crazy amount of money. I knew that. There was no offer, by the way. It was just some interest. So I said, I'm going to ask for $115. And I said, well, how do you want the call to go? And I was like, I want this. And in my mind, I had the call lasting about 5 minutes. Needless to say, I make the call an hour later. Fucking most amazing thing ever. I get $117.5. I never even gave him my number. 7 minutes later, the pay rate was made at the HR level.
Done.
Dude. And I think part of the problem is we're scared. We all think we're frauds, man. Like, that's the best thing too. You hear about imposter syndrome all the time. And I go through that sometimes. I mean, I've been running some leading world-renowned Facebook campaigns, literally, no bullshit. And there's even times I'm like, I don't know if we're that good at this. But I'm like, dude, you just got a gym in Longview, Texas, 150 something leads in the month of January in Longview, Texas. Like population 60,000 people, and there's 13 gyms. So I think we all feel a little bit fraudulent. We all have a little bit of the cognitive distortion. That's my favorite term. If you guys hear that, Google that, cognitive distortion. It's basically the principle that says everything sucks, the sky is falling, I hate everything. It's the worst thing ever. Your boss calls you, first thing you think about is like getting fired. Not like, oh my God, I'm probably going to get a raise. Nope, it's like, fuck, I'm fired. Why? Because you probably, the one time you were out of town, you probably put 2 extra cocktails on the expense report that you shouldn't have, and now you're thinking back to like, I fucked up. Now you're trying to trace your fuck up because your boss called. But actually, guess what? He was just letting you know that we just hired a new salesperson a couple states away. Could you train him next week? But you didn't have the mentality. You thought you were getting fired. because you have that imposter syndrome, and we're all scared and shit. It's just a different day, different show for a different day, probably about the fear thing, but fear is a real MFer.
Yeah, and I've heard that from a lot of people, including, when you listen to keynotes from CEOs, I mean, they talk about even at their level, no matter what they've accomplished, at some point they feel like they're a fraud. Like they feel like they are failing somewhere, that everything they've done has been total bullshit, their life's work is meaningless. But it always seems to just be a stage. They get through it. It doesn't seem to be a lasting effect, but it is sort of something that comes and goes throughout their career, depending on what's happening. And I'm sure it's probably when things aren't going quite well, when stuff seems to be crashing and burning. And it always seems like when things are crashing and burning, that is the biggest time, or one of the best opportunities for a breakthrough. It seems to be like people go through this huge up and everything's great. They kind of let their foot off the accelerator. Shit starts to go downhill, and then shit really crashes and burns. But if you keep going, you keep taking that extra step, you keep moving forward, eventually you actually have your biggest breakthroughs, and then you get up to the next level. I mean, I've seen that happen. Of course, there's the other side of that. You can go straight to hell if you stop moving forward.
You're going straight to hell.
You can go straight to hell if you quit moving forward and you start walking backwards. But if you keep stepping forward, you keep trying to get better, you keep trying to learn. You look at the situation that you fucked up, and you look at everything you did, how you can make it better, and you don't dwell on it. You realize what you did, you acknowledge it, and then you take the actions to improve it, which is take action to make it better. You end up having a breakthrough, and you come out the other side a better person.
You couldn't have said it better, man. That's exactly the case. And I think one of the things that people, you should really look at this. One of my favorite things to do is, I know I'm speaking in third person, but when Stan's fucking up, I know it. Okay, so I say, oh, what's going on here, man? I write down my days. I have my days tracked. If I go through a day where I didn't work out and it turned into 3 days, I might be on suicide watch. So I'm going to get all my information together and go, what happened here? Then what happens is you're going to make this happen in 2 to 3 hours and then 2 to 3 minutes. So sometimes this would happen for months, where I'd be in a loop for a month. And I'm like, what happened? I got to get back. I got back. And I'm on this path. And I got to get back. I literally have that down to hours now. It's insane. It's probably the thing I'm the most proud about. When something's going wrong or it's fucked up, it's lasting less than 3 hours. Before, it was lasting days, weeks, sometimes months. Literally, my last one was probably about a 6-month period. I just couldn't get the shit together. I don't know what it was. And that was the last one. And that was probably 2013. But since then, there's no more bullshit, dude. I'm working too fucking hard to have to keep starting over, man. Who wants to start over? I mean, that's like somebody going to the gym for 3 months. They hurt their knee, which is, we all know is bullshit. Of course you hurt your knee. It does hurt. You're telling me you can't do one thing at the gym because your knee is hurt? It's like, come on, man. You can't sit down and do shoulders? There's something that you're able to do at the gym, but nope. And guess what? 3 months turn into 6 months. You see that person again. What happened? Oh, man. And it's always oversold. You're never going to believe this, man. You're like, what? You're like, I don't even want to tell you. You're never going to believe it. Come on, man. Just tell me. Torn meniscus. Could you believe it? Torn meniscus. They probably said torn meniscus because they don't even know how to say it right. It's like those kind of people who are like, oh yeah, torn meniscus. You're like, yeah, torn meniscus. I get it. You're like, no, you don't have a torn meniscus. You have a torn excuse again. So, it's all the same thing over and over again. And I think that not just with the Actionist, but even a platform like this, there's ways that people can just hear this and go, listen, I don't need to be this motherfucker, but I'm going to change 2 things. I'm going to change 3 things. I'm going to change this thing. I challenge one more thing. Drive home a different way to work. Or drive home a different way from work to home today. Just do that. We can't even make that change. If you can't make that change, you really don't want it. If you follow me long enough, you'll hear I have a little saying that says, what pain will you sustain? What pain are you willing to sustain to get what you want? You want to be a musician. That's my favorite one. Yeah, chicks and drugs and shit and party. Whoa! Do you want to play the guitar for 13 hours till your fucking fingers bleed? That's what I thought, bitch. You don't want it.
No.
You know, you don't really want it. You want the lifestyle. You know, that's what people see, these Grant Cardones and all these. They want what they got.
Lifestyle.
Dude, you don't want this. If you did, you'd come get it. Because I'm just telling you, it's just work. It just takes work and discipline and time management. Guys, I can talk about consistency. There's so many terms, acronyms I can use. It takes all of it. And that's what people are like, fuck, I ain't doing it. You know why I go to the gym? You know why I go to the gym? Why is that, big guy? So I can fucking eat whatever the fuck I want. That's why I go to fucking gym. Cool. Well, let me tell you again why I go to the gym. I go to the gym so when I'm at the Walmart parking lot and a guy tries to murder my family with his bare hands, that I can stay with that guy for at least 30 seconds to try to protect my family. That's why I go to the gym. And so I can live. Because when I leave, I'd like to have a little bit of a legacy. You know, that would be cool to me. My older kids already being who they are, to me, I already won. My marriage being where it already is right now, I won. My marriage is a big thing for me. Like, more important to me than anything in the world. Literally. More important than my kids. I get a lot of shit for this. But if you don't love your wife or your spouse more than you love your kids, you're getting divorced, homie. You're getting divorced. I promise you. Call me out on it. Or if you're not getting divorced, your marriage is a fraud. One of those two things. Because what happens when they leave? Then what do? You look at your partner and you go, what the fuck are we going to do now? Huh? No dance, no gym, no baseball, no football. Well, fuck, I don't even know who you are. So I tell people all the time, you date and communicate, you'll be married forever, right? So it's important to me that if you're married and you want to fuck around, get divorced.
Yeah.
Simple.
I agree with that 100%. I meet so many people, husbands, wives, you name it, cheating on their spouse. And to me, it was always interesting. I was like, why not just get a divorce and quit running around like a little fucking rat on your cell phone?
But hold on. The first answer is always, give it to me. Why don't you want to get divorced? It's only one reason I'm not going to get divorced. It's because I have kids.
They have kids. Yeah.
Hey, they fucking
I'm there
see
for the
you,
kids.
dickhead.
Yeah.
They see you.
Yeah, they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know. They know before the spouse finds out.
Yes. I mean, 1,000%. These fuckers are so smart. Have you ever
know.
seen a 3-year-old use an iPhone? Like, shit, if that don't scare you, you should be like, whoa, man, this guy. I see a 3-year-old kid use an iPhone the other day. Couldn't count. I'm sorry, I have to pause. The kid used the iPhone, no bullshit, better than I did. And I'm pretty tech savvy. I work in technology. But this kid couldn't count to 6. That's scary. Don't know their alphabet. But can operate an iPhone and have a conversation like you have never seen in your life. And you're like, dude, this kid's like an adult. You're like, 1, 2, 3, 19, 36. You're like, what? You can't even count to 7? That seems weird, right? But again, that's the whole parenting thing. And we'd have to come home and like pay attention to our kids and shit, ask them questions and how their day was and shit, and like be a real parent. See, because being a parent is not just about showing up and providing, man. That's like the basic shit. That's like the fucking economy package. Then there's like the parent package, and then there's like, hey, let's teach these people some shit package. That's the one you want to be at. That's where you want to be with that. Teach. Dude, teach your kids, man. Come on, you can do it. We can all do it.
Yeah, and that is, the kids are going to watch exactly what you're doing. They're going to mimic your behavior. Hopefully not if you're a piece of shit. Deadbeat parent, however, at a certain age, of course, kids are very impressionable until they figure out you're either a piece of shit and they're like, I never want to be like that guy, or they end up you. I mean, either one of those two things can happen. But I think for most of the things that we've talked about today, I think, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for anyone else here, that for whatever I am doing and from wherever I started with, the only reason that I know what I know now and why I am where I am today, and I get up at 4:30 in the morning consistently, and I go to the gym, I do all this other shit, is because I fucked up so many times. And I fucked up everywhere. And I've fucked up relationships, and I've fucked up businesses, and I've quit jobs, and I've done all these things. And it takes work. A lot of work. It's not like you just wake up in the fucking morning one day and you're like, I'm changing my life and it's going to be really easy. I'm just going to start getting up at 4. I'm going to have a perfect fucking marriage. I'm going to have a perfect fucking business practice, and everything is just going to be as perfect as fucking possible. It's taken a ton of work, and I fucked up so many times, and I'm still fucking up all the time. I can go through a list for hours on things that I am currently fucking up right now that I know.
Like a real-time fuck-up ticker update at the bottom of the screen.
You can just it'll run a list in green and red, down at the bottom, just like the stock market ticker of things that I'm fucking up. The list is endless. There's really only just a couple of things that I can consider that I'm doing actually well right now. So the question I wanted to ask you is, what are you working on in your personal life or business? What are you working on right now that you know you need to be doing better? And what are you doing?
That's funny.
What's that action that you're taking?
So I think financially I'm working a little bit harder than I ever have, because now it's time to, I think financially we're fucking lost as a society. And I think I know a little bit about money, and I'm lost. So it's like, it's weird because it's hard to know everything about everything. But I like to know, enough about stuff, say enough to get in trouble. But putting financial goals down, achieving those goals every day, because you have to, I think people treat their goals on a monthly basis, and I just think that's a wrong way to look at it. You got to break those down into miniature goals. And then again, we have to have the tactics to those goals. So for me, what are you doing? Okay, well, I want to save $2,000 a month. What does that look like? All right, I'm going to take money from here. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to sell more things over here to get that money coming in every single month. So I know that if I do these two things, I'm going to get the extra money I want to be able to put to the side to maybe invest in another business, to invest in some real estate, whatever the case may be. But I'm learning those things. One of the things I need to get better at right now is being more consistent the way that I've always been, which is, I do these 7 core things every morning. And I got away from that for a little bit, and I just got back to it a couple weeks ago, if I'm being, transparent. I think it's important to be transparent with people because, we all fuck up, man. We all have bad days. And if you see me on the street and you see me doing something stupid, just remember I'm a human. I've operated my life over the last 3 years at 90% of my plan. It's pretty fucking good. It's not good enough, though, for me. If you operated your life, if you're listening right now, at 50% of my plan, you'd be crushing it. My plan is pretty hard. It's pretty stringent. It's, but writing it down every day, preferably the night before. I think if you write down your schedule the night before, write down what has to be done. And again, guys, eat that frog, Brian Tracy. Getting the biggest, shittiest thing out of the way first, do that. So if there's something big, do that. The problem is when people are giving advice to people is that everybody lives different lives. You might have kids, you might not. You might work at a job where you can't leave your desk for 8 hours. I might have a job where I don't even see my boss for 3 weeks. Those are different. So when you're trying to give people templated advice, I don't like doing that. There's certain things that you could do, like wake up early. Everybody could probably do that. And again, if you work swing, that means just waking up at 10 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. Or if you work overnights, same type of thing. So, having that consistent work every day without being a bitch, I always tell myself I was really hard on myself. But if I do get one thing done a day, a big thing, I'm satisfied. I think it's important because we're just like everybody else, man. If you don't get something done or you do the old pat yourself on the back thing, your brain goes, "Oh fuck, what'd you do today, dude? Fucking play Fortnite all night or whatever the kids do these days."
Yeah, got nothing done. So the Facebook page, what are the pillars of what most people are going there for? They're going for relationships, finances.
Yep. So foundation.
Yeah,
so
foundation.
We break it down into foundation, which foundation is yourself. Are you reading? Are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing to get better? Let's say you want to make money as a speaker. Are you taking speaker classes? Are you going to Toastmasters? What are you doing to become a better speaker? And then we have family, which is your relationships inside of your community, the relationships with your immediate family, and the relationships inside of your business community. And then you have financial, again, financial literacy, saving money, understanding money, things of that nature. And then the last one is fitness. And fitness encompasses a couple of things. Fitness encompasses actual fitness and then actual food consumption. So what are you doing as it relates to fitness and food? Typically, they go hand in hand. If you're eating fairly bad, you're usually not going to the gym. And if you're eating fairly clean, you're usually somebody that goes to the gym. But don't think of it as like an asshole person where you're like, that fucking guy's vegan fucking hate vegan. I think people get a lot of like bad raps about things. So it's like, just because you go to the gym, you don't have to associate yourself to anything. Just go to the fucking gym or walk your neighborhood. I don't give a shit what you do. Do something.
Do something.
Do those push-ups that we talked about. My fitness started, this is crazy. I used to live in Sparks, Los Altos and something or other by Bud Beasley Elementary School, and there was a hill. I used to do 5 sprints up that hill, and it was like probably 250 to 300 yards. I would sprint the whole thing. That's when my fitness started in 2013. Well, then after that, I was 200. I was either 207 or 217. I'm 5'9". I did a fitness show, and I came off the couch at 207 or 217. I think it was 207 to be 161 11 weeks later on a stage.
That's a lot of weight.
I would never, ever, ever want to be in a fitness show, just being honest. I like looking good, but I was like, this is something I don't want to do. That's why I did it. Again, seems like it sucks. And then I'm around, what's up, bro? Because most of that community is like, they're very narcissistic because like, look at me. And it was nothing about that. I just wanted to get on the stage. So I got on the stage, and I think I got 3rd out of 5th. I did it again a year later, and I won. I won because I knew what I was doing. I won because I took not necessarily my fitness more important, but the kitchen. I took the kitchen a little bit more serious, I was doing things in the kitchen that I'd never done before. Just so your audience knows.
You mean your diet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the things you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, attribute to a lot of your fucking results.
Because I think people get so wrapped up in the gym, though. Like, dude, I'm going to the fucking gym. Haven't lost a pound. Get off the scale, man. Like, your clothes are important and your food's important. The scale sucks. Like, I remember my wife, I can't probably say this on the radio, but she was big. And she also did a fitness show, and she got down to like 118 for the show or something like that. But my wife looks amazing now, and she's back in between that 118 and that weight she was at before. But she's muscular, dude. Like, you see her muscle, like her body has changed. Like, when your body changes for the better, you should be excited about that. Don't worry about everybody else, man. If you're 337 pounds, that's what you are today. And all you can do is start now. Can't worry about what happened before. Can't worry about what happened tomorrow. You can only worry about what happened today. Man, I gambled forever. I chewed forever. I got through all these things because I just woke up one day sick of it, sick of living. Like, you have to live a lot of lives. When you're doing a lot of bad shit and you're doing like you have bad habits, it's hard. It's like ping pong.
You're hiding.
Yeah.
You hide.
It's like
your
Mike
habits
Tyson.
from
Everywhere you look,
people.
push, 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 push. You're like trying to duck, and you're like, oh, fuck it. You just got to submit, like,
Yeah.
all right, no more of this shit.
You're a different person when you're around certain people. You're never acting like yourself because you're always trying to hide those bad habits that you feel guilty about and you don't want people to know.
I used to go to my grandparents' house and hide my chew.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. I'd go to my grandparents' house for a whole week. As an adult, by the way, I'm hiding my god dang tobacco from my fucking grandparents. And then I think about it, I'm like, you stopped chewing for 5 days. You went back home and started chewing again. That's my favorite story. Or the pregnant girl. That's my best one. You stopped smoking for 9 months and started in month 10? For fucking what? Most likely, your circle sucks. I'm just saying. Like, a lot of people don't want to hear that you have to get new friends and a new circle. But I'm here to tell you, I do have a lot of people I used to deal with, and we're acquaintances now, more than friends, Because friend to me means you'll take a bullet for people, and I don't have a lot of those, unfortunately. So I have a lot of acquaintances, but I don't have a lot of friends. So I think that's an important thing to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always that, is it Jim Rohn that said you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah, there are some people, absolutely, that you may have to cut out of your life in order to get rid of that influence. As, the bucket of crabs, they see one crab trying to get out, the other crabs pull that crab down. But the crab can get out of the bucket on its own if it's the only one in the bucket. The other ones see one person climbing out and naturally pulled right back into the same bad habits that are probably keeping you where you're at. And, that's one of the important aspects of joining groups like this and being active and actually participating in it is you do get around people who have higher aspirations, who are looking to do more, people who will push you to be better, to learn, to grow, to get better fitness, improve your finances, improve your relationships. And I think when you start getting active in these types of groups, again, it just happens like magic where you just start achieving because of the people you're out with. You want to be a better golfer, go hang out with better fucking golfers.
Absolutely.
You want to swim better, hang out with better swimmers.
Ego thing though, right?
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with someone better and actually taking advice from them is really, really hard, right? But it's not, and it doesn't need to be. Guys, no one gives a fuck about you. I want you to really know that. It's really important that you understand that. Your parents do, your kids do, but no, like you're a speck of dust, bud. No one really cares.
The world doesn't give a fuck about you.
Not even in the least bit.
Yeah.
They don't care. You can go, throw up your fancy meal and your airplane ride on your Facebook page and say that you're with Magic Johnson. You got to see him speak and all this. Like no one, at the end of the day, like that's cool. They don't really care. And people do not want you to win. People do not want you to win. Tell somebody that you're going to start a hair salon. It's a lie. Just tell somebody tomorrow. Guess what? I'm going to start a hair salon. Oh, really? Whoa. Where did you get the money for that? Oh, really? Do you even know anything about hair? Oh, really? Fuck you. Oh, really? You don't know shit. You've been doing the same shit for 20 fucking 5 years. All you do is bitch about everything. Your fucking husband, your fucking kids, your sorry ass job. But you don't want to change it. Because it's the same person who does that. They bitch about it because they see you bubble. And like, again, the overnight shit. I don't care what kind of music you listen to, but there's a guy named Logic who sings rap music. Yep, Jethro, even for you. He sings rap music. He has a song called Overnight. It's the fucking greatest song ever. Everybody saw it overnight. Yep, they did. But they didn't see him living with his best friend in a shitty apartment while his best friend paid for both of them to live so he could work on his dream. And he worked for the city of fucking somewhere in Maryland doing like construction, road construction. You didn't hear the part that he stole the cigarettes out of the lady's purse that gave him a place to fucking live. This guy's mom. He was stealing cigarettes from her. He's just a punk ass kid. He didn't know. But he made it. And it wasn't overnight. It was many, 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 many years in the making. And for me, I don't even know what make it means. That's a weird term for me because it's never going to be an end for me. I don't know what you would do. I don't like have financial goals like that. Like I want to make $5 billion. I don't, my goals don't work like that. I know I want it to be over as far as like working every single day as hard as I am now and having more of passive income, car washes, laundromats, oil change places, storage units, things like that. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, it's just shit. It's not overnight. I mean, it's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and anything I think that is worthwhile that you want to accomplish probably going to take a lot of fucking time, 10 times the amount, if not 100 times the amount of effort that you originally think it's going to take, and you're going to fuck up all over the place, and you're going to have setbacks, and you're going to have failures, and it's going to feel like you're never going to get there. Maybe even more often than you feel like you're making progress, that you're never going to get there. But the people who make it seem to be those who just keep moving forward and keep learning and keep growing and keep driving to get towards that goal. And there's no fucking guarantee that even if you put in 100% effort, that you are going to ever achieve the goal that you're trying to get. There is no fucking guarantee. And that's what's really hard for people who are making the transition from, say, being an employee to being an entrepreneur is there is no guarantee you're ever going to make it, even if you do everything perfect and right by the book. The world doesn't give a fuck. And they don't give a fuck how hard you tried. And they don't give a fuck how much money you spent. And the world doesn't give a fuck whether you're successful or not. There is no guarantee. But I think if you do start on that journey, you're going to end up in a place you probably never thought you could get to, even if you don't make it 100% all the way. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they say that you operate at 40% of what you're capable of. The average person, you hear a lot of numbers like this. I think that number is so high. That's so bullshit. Like, there's no way we operate at 40%. I think we operate at about 10%, 15, 20%.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm operating at about 40 or 50. I'm grinding, man. Like, I feel like I'm out here really putting the effort in, really putting the work in. So, I don't know. And I think changing some of we didn't really talk about words today, but, like when and if is a big one. Dude, if we ever get that money, dude, we're going to start that sick business. Stop. Use the word win. I know it sounds stupid, cliche, corny, whatever it is. This shit works, man. I'll give a plug to somebody who a lot of people in town. He's a very polarizing guy, but about 5 years ago, I spent a lot of time with Joey Gilbert. We used to do all their marketing, billboards, digital, everything. Joey used to do this thing called decompression. And he would take a notepad, like this legal pad here, the long ones that you see in most offices. He would go to Lake Tahoe for 2 days. Nobody's allowed but him. And he would go to work on goal setting. And it was funny, like he would write stuff down. I want to get involved in the mines or in gold. So 2-5-13 or whatever. He goes back through it. Now it's 2-5-15, and guess what? We're buying gold. Like, what the fuck? I mean, when I saw that, and again, I know very polarizing individual. I happen to get along with him, but I know some people that either really, really love him or really, really hate him. I'm not here to debate that today. I'm just here to tell you that he's very driven and motivated and has a lot of these same systems that I'm talking to you about today. I watched a lot of that stuff that he was doing. Like the goal setting visualization stuff, a lot of it came from him. A lot of the other stuff we're talking about, I just found on my own, but watching him write things down and seeing that same piece of paper come to fruition 2 years later again. Oh, maybe we should get involved in the marijuana business. You're like, what? And now you're like, wow, you're here, not only on the cultivation side, but on the production side. You're just like, holy crap, man, this is pretty amazing.
As we said earlier, you take a diverse group of people from all different backgrounds, and you fucking realize that a lot of people have the same problems. Then you take a group of successful people, and you'll also fucking realize that they have a lot of the same habits. And going out there and goal setting and, visualization and getting up early, you're going to find that, I can't say that success is a guaranteed formula by any fucking stretch of the imagination, but there are definitely a set number of activities that you're going to find more in common with people who are successful in whatever field they're in, be it, sports or finance or, anything. You're going to find these activities that they absolutely take part in that the average person who feels like they're failing or maybe not achieving what they want to do are absolutely not doing. What are some of those things? We've already named a ton of them, but just to recap, because it's so fucking important that if you look at successful people, they're doing these certain fucking things, and people who are not successful, depending on what your standards are, I'm not fucking judging anybody, are not doing.
Number one, without question, hesitation, read. Read. I feel like such a loser sometimes, honestly. Like, the reading thing is crazy because I've always had the ability to read, but I wasn't very good with comprehension unless it had something to do with sports. So I was really big into sports before, which we didn't really talk about, but I was so big into sports, if it interested me, I could tell you what I read, but besides that, I couldn't. So I just stopped reading. As a matter of fact, I only read one book cover to cover my whole entire life until 3 years ago now. And now I'm just like going like gangbusters. I like to read. I also like Audible. I think if you're out there today, get on Audible. And guys, I don't care if you listen to self-help, fiction, nonfiction, you name it, just start reading, man. Because if you read, you're going to learn. You're going to learn. And if you like to learn about certain topics, obviously, get your focus around those topics. But reading is, I think that's fucking, I hate saying, I don't like to overstate things, but it saved my life. 1,000%. Reading definitely saved my life. It's made me so much more powerful. I'm really on a mission for moderation. A lot of people don't like that word. But I think it's cool, man, that I could come talk to you. I probably could talk to you about real estate without looking like an asshole. You would bury me alive when we started getting into the grand scheme of things. But I could have a conversation about that. I could have a conversation about SD-WAN, which is a technology in business. I could talk to you about a microphone. I could talk to you about MMA. I feel good about that. I also think it's really good to have a higher acumen or expert level in 2 or 3 areas. But the moderation thing is cool, man. Like, you never feel like a fish out of water if you have some moderation in your life. Anything. It's like oceans. Like, fuck, I don't know anything about oceans. But I have heard of this one mammal, and the guy goes, oh, okay, tell me about the mammal. So next thing you know, this guy's an oceanographer, and you're not, but you're having a common conversation. I think that's really cool. But the reading thing before anything is ultimately important, and tell the truth. The truth will fucking 1,000% set you free. It took me until 6 years ago to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Really
Who did you lie to the most?
Me.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Me, I was the greatest mediocre superstar you ever saw. Like a lot of people who knew me, point over here, they'd be like, "Oh, the guy says he's a go-getter." I hear it all the time. So ambitious, such a go-getter. Compared to who? You? Well, that's not really a good comparison because you ain't doing shit. So I looked amazing, I think, to a lot of people, but I was really, even my sales career, I was okay. I was like in the top 85-ish%. I was right there, kind of like the first loser or whatever, like third or fourth place every month. In my business career, outside of a couple endeavors, it's just okay. We always made money, but no one's retiring or anything like that. Why? Because it got to a certain level where it was like, it's either boring or we switched our focus to something else. But really what happened was it got a little harder than I wanted it to, and you quit or you pivot or whatever the case may be. You do have to know in business, you do need to know when to punt and pivot, but at the same time, probably just needs a couple little more pieces of hard work, and it probably would have got done.
Yeah, and what you've said is just spot on, which is, you're looking to make a change in your life, and you take a look at what a lot of really successful people are doing. They're going to read. I mean, they are taking in a ton of information, and one thing I'm just going to throw out that I do that may be different than what a lot of people do. I know I wouldn't say a lot of people, but I do know people who read a lot of fucking books. And the one approach I take that may be a little bit different is I don't read a lot of books, but I'll read a few books a lot of fucking times. And I'll just go through the same information over and over and over again. And for one, I do have trouble finding books that really captivate me and pull the interest and keep me going in that book. But there's certain books that I will lock onto and just get addicted to just going through it. And Audibles, absolutely. I hate reading. I hate sitting down to read. So I am the person who has Audible going in my car, and I've got Audible in my headphones, and anytime I get a chance, I've got an Audible in my ear going all the time.
Do you ever feel like a guy is going to come out of your phone and be like, "Yo, man, get your babies out the street, man. You on that Audible crack?" Like,
Yeah,
I always feel like
I
I'm like a drug addict on
yeah,
Audible.
I mean, my Audible addiction definitely shows up on my bill, my Apple iPhone bill.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that. But yeah, taking in information, digesting it, and then, as your Facebook page is taking action on it, making a change. I mean, not only just listening to the books, but then implementing and making a change and taking action is the key. Now, you can learn all the fuck you want about the golf swing. You could read every fucking book until you get out there and you try to set up that first fucking golf ball and tee that motherfucker up. You have no idea what the fuck you're going to do. I mean, the mechanics aren't there. You have to swing the bat. I mean, so not only read, but also get out there and take the action, put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort. So, Stan, I mean, thank you so much, man. You've dropped some serious gold nuggets here. Is there anything else, maybe in your notes? I know I've got like 5 pages of notes here that I've taken. Is there anything else we should have covered or anything else you want to throw out there? Any acknowledgments to anybody?
I do want to throw something out there. First of all, I love my wife, Nicole. How are you? Hope she's doing well. This isn't fake shit either. I think it's really important. A lot of people have come to me for marriage stuff in the last 3 or 4 years, and please, you can text me whenever you want. You can hit me on Facebook. I answer literally every fucking question, every comment. Even when I'm in the air, a lot of times I'll, put like ask me anything on the airplane because I have, a couple hours where I'm not going to be interrupted, and I'll answer any questions or help you the best I can. The one thing I want to tell you though today is something we never really talk about, and this will be very quick, which is don't cheat on your spouse, boyfriend, or girlfriend, but not the way that you're thinking. I mean, obviously don't have sex with somebody else or do any of that kind of shit or emotional friends, but don't cheat financially on your spouse. It's like one thing we don't talk about. It's crazy. In my opinion, it's worse than having sex with their sister, having sex with their brother, whatever the case may be. Because a lot of people have like separate accounts and shit. Like, I always think that's weird. And if you do and it's working for you in your marriage, that's awesome. But just hear me out real quick. If you have 2 bank accounts and you have $0 and your spouse or significant other has $4,000 in the bank, what do we do now? Do I borrow the money from you? Do I pay you back? Are you my fucking loan shark? Like, do I just don't get money till my next allowance date? So what we do is all the money's the money. You see the money. Can you get your hair done? How much does your hair cost? $130? Cool. How much money does it count? $7,000? Cool. Probably can get your hair done. But I see a lot of people they get divorced over this shit. I've seen a lot lately. It's more than I've ever actually seen where we're sharing. I have an account, she has an account, and then we have an account. Well, what if the we account's broke and my account's broke? You're straight, but I'm done. How does it work? I always wondered that. Same thing about joint Facebook accounts, but that's another topic for another day. Don't cheat on your spouse or significant other financially. I think it's actually worse than anything else because it's really hard to find. It's hard to understand. This is coming from somebody who gambled for a long ass time and no one knew because I was very sneaky and tricky about what I was doing. So it's just a shitty look, man. When you wake up one day and then there's no more money, you're like, oh shit. I would have rather had sex with her sister. That just cost my family everything,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So don't do that. I mean, that's a big, big one. And I know there's some women out there who just bought a slip from Maurice's that was $87 and you weren't supposed to buy it. Go take it back. And you were some dude that just bought a Traeger for fucking $1,100 that he put on his credit card. Go take it back, bud. You can't afford it right now. It's okay. But it's okay. Just because all of your friends have them, you don't have to have it.
Yeah. So you recommend couples, marriage, you get one account.
Absolutely.
All the money goes into that account.
Yeah. And if you want to dictate someone to oversee it, that's cool. But I think you should overlook your finances once a month with your spouse. And it doesn't have to be something crazy. It used to take us about 2 or 3 minutes. I used to have a rule with my wife, especially when things were going great financially. If it costs more than $400, just let me know. We can talk about it. Some people's might be different. Maybe it's $4,000 in their house, or maybe it's $40,000. We don't know. Some people have different money coming into their house. So I think it's just important. Dude, the self-awareness shit again. You know how much money you got. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that is not the advice or the closing thought that I thought would have come out of your mouth. But I mean, that is interesting, and it's definitely something to consider for myself. Where do we find you?
So you can find me at facebook.com/The Actionist. You can also just go to Facebook and go to the search feature and type in The Actionist. You'll find us there. We were a couple thousand people and growing, and Facebook made some changes to their algorithm. I think we're 700 something and growing, but by the end of 2019, we'll be 20, 30,000. I really believe it. We're gonna make some push to make that happen. We're also getting ready to start the Actionist Academy, which is going to be different. It's going to come with a whole lot of accountability and tools and packets and work. And guess what, man? You're gonna have to fucking do work. So if you want to get better, it takes work. That should have been the message of the group. The message of the day. If you want to get better, shit takes work. It ain't easy. Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to fix your 337-pound ass in a day either. Give yourself a little bit of credit by giving yourself the ability to do a little bit of work each and every day. Do that fucking work. Keep your fucking head down. And if you have to change some people in your life, it's time to change some people in your life. Change the people that want to make you better. That want to make you fucking better. Because they don't, man. They want you to fail. I'm trying to tell you guys, if you don't believe me, go find some Twitter message from one of the Kardashians she takes a picture and she looks cute and then people crush her. I don't follow the Kardashians on Twitter. I don't give a fuck. But if she looks pretty, why do you say she looks ugly? Why are half of the comments the other way, man? Stop hating on people. It's a fucking bad habit. Terrible trait. Take that energy, go start a business. Take that energy, go to the gym. Take that energy, go on a walk with your spouse. Go take that energy and ask your kids how their day at school went today. Today, not tomorrow. Today.
Yeah, I love it. Take that action today. Stan, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. Coming down here and dropping some serious nuggets. I mean, for me, this was selfish, man. I took so many notes. I know I'm going to learn a lot from this episode, and I can't wait to listen to it again. But for everyone else out there, as we always say on this podcast, get your ass back to work.